Hello, and welcome. In this video, I'm discussing becoming unavailable for anything that is not at your standard or that you are not in alignment with. Become unavailable. Now, this is not to say that, okay, so good example. Say you're on a job or a position, and for the foreseeable future, you can see where that is an excellent place for you to attract the monthly income you need in order to support your household, right? Well, when you say become unavailable, it doesn't mean marching there the next day and it's like, I quit. And if that's what you want to do and you're divinely led to do that, then that's all on you, right? But what it's saying is that when you show up in these spaces, become unavailable for the things that do not jive with your alignment, the things that do not expand and grow you. Because many times when we are in a workplace or in an environment that's not necessarily feeding us or the best environment for us, the first thing we think of is like, let me just get myself out of the environment altogether. But sometimes when you can't specifically just leave an environment like that instantly, you have the option then to be able to have discernment, to utilize your discernment, and then to utilize your intuition so that you can navigate some of these environments and literally until you outgrow that space that you're in. And I say this because this just recently happened to me in the last couple of years. I was in a place where I could easily say very toxic environment, especially compared to other places I've been and other environments I've been around and the ones I'm in now, very, very toxic. And so what ultimately happened was I was trying to work on something, and that was the best case scenario for the income I was seeing at that given time, right? And once I hit that goal, I was like, well, may as well stay a little bit longer and, stack some of that money, and everything just kept going horribly downhill. So when you've outgrown a bigger need or a bigger meaning for it, you'll see these things happen. I was in this environment, and so I just changed up my entire approach to being there. And I think that's why I had so much static towards the end. I was no longer being, a person that someone would ask to spy on someone else. I was no longer a person that was volunteering for everything and trying to show up and do everything. I was kind of just waiting my time out. And I was only interacting or having conversations with people who were also high vibration, or people who had a different approach for life than what I saw as the lower frequencies in the same environment, right? And so knowing that and understanding it, it makes you better understand the idea of if it doesn't align with you, you don't have to line up with it. That's one thing about being a person who is really steeped into law of attraction. And if you believe in those ways, you find yourself attracting a lot of things. And what people normally say is you attract what you are. I believe it's always true to a certain degree. And when you are in the in-between space of certain behaviors, like you're moving away from it and you're moving further towards something that works better for you or a way that you want to be perceived, right? There's always going to be that little gray area where things that attract to the old version of you pop up, and then things that are attracting to the version of you that you're headed to. And what I feel like we spend the most time on is the things that we still need to work on. And we're going to be held back at that level until those things are worked out. So in other words, you're not necessarily who you attract at every stage of your development, but you are who you entertain once you have attracted them in your space. And I talk about this with some, people I've met recently and places I've gone recently and ran into new people in different environments. I'll find myself being somebody some people want to come talk to. They want to share information with. Either they're trying to get me to buy something, they just want to chat with me for a little bit, or they see that I'm not chatting with anybody else and they come over and try to mix it up. And what I notice is that in many of those interactions, we have a choice. When I see certain behaviors or certain things that are not in alignment with where I'm headed and where I want to go in life, I can easily just turn off a switch and go, okay, it was nice meeting that person. And that's all I needed to know. Like, I'm good with the rest of it, right? I don't need to do that much more. And then there are those moments to where we do meet people and they are at the level at which we want to approach in life. And we do more to remain available for those types of connections. So at the same time, you attracted both of these different types of people, but the one that you spend time entertaining will say where you are in life. The one that you feel the most comfortable with, the places where you feel the most the least amount of resistance to like diving right on in. And even when you do feel that resistance, you want to dive in anyway, even if it's not the best for you. That's the level at which you're operating. And when we don't entertain things that are not at alignment with where we are in life, we're showing the universe where we want our point of attraction to be. We're showing it, this is what I'm interested in, this is what I like more of. I know this thing came over here, but I only gave it 5 minutes. The thing that I want more of, I gave that an hour. And that's pretty much what you're doing. It's like you are teaching the attraction as much as the attraction is teaching you. You are giving to that interaction as much as that interaction is giving to you. So we don't want to be like just a bystander and kind of like not participating and being like, oh, everything that attracts to me, that's just going to be where I'm at and what I'm doing. But there's another layer to that, right? Like, what are you bringing into your space that you are giving most of your attention to? And when we are not aligned with things, it stops us from having those mixed signals and those energies to where we're separated from what we want to experience and what we find ourselves in. Because that split energy is always going to be holding us up, even with making the right connections, even with expanding our financial abundance, even with connecting with the new tribe that we want to attract. Whenever that split energy is sitting there, it's just like, this is what I desire, but because I don't see it, I'll just deal with this. This is what I desire in life, but because I really don't know how it's going to happen, I'll just sit in this space over here. And you'll find that the more you practice only checking in with yourself and saying, is this in alignment with where I'm headed and where I would like to be and what I would like to experience more of? And when it's not, it'll be much easier to walk away. Then you get to points in your life where you don't even have to spend that much time walking away from certain behaviors and mindsets and people. They won't even necessarily come into your space. They might pop up every now and then and get through get through the veil, but they won't necessarily even show up in your space. So sometimes the minute we learn a lesson or we get over it or we expand and grow to the next level or we become what we're trying to become, we are not even challenged the same ways that we used to be. So that's why it's so easy sometimes for us to listen to conversations with people who are at different levels of evolution when it comes to how they deal with relationships, how they connect with family members, how they connect with their own children, how they work in the workplace and all that. We can listen and we have like this perfect advice. It's like, you know what, I've been through that before. This is what it took. This is what it took to get through it. This is what it took, the mindset shift. This is what it took to have a better result. It's so easy for us to do that because we're no longer sitting in the thick of that thing anymore. We're no longer sitting down in the crevices of that problem or that issue anymore. And so many times I was listening to another YouTuber and she was talking about how when you tell stories a lot and when you share information about yourself, it's so important to like wait for some time to pass so that you can truly have real insight on what you're experiencing. And it's the same thing when it comes to things that are in alignment with us. If you have time and you should always have time. When you have those moments to where you're trying to figure out if something is in alignment with you, give yourself that same break. There's nothing that's going to make or break or change anything that's supposed to be in your life, right? Give yourself that same break and say, is this aligned? Is this what I want to experience more of? Because it's literally like 1 + 1 = 2. If you spend your time around people, places, and things and in concepts and ideas that are contradictory to what you say you want to experience, to what's on your vision board, from what you're listening to affirmations for what you're meditating related to, and you're writing and scripting for and journaling for, if you are in contradiction to it, it's like you're having the brakes on a vehicle when you're wanting to go forward. It's like I really want to go 50 miles per hour towards this goal, but at the same time, as I'm going towards the goal, every time I get to like 25 miles per hour, I can't climb any faster because I'm steady putting my feet on the brakes. And that split energy is like your feet on the brakes. That contradictory energy and acting is like putting your foot on the brakes. So sometimes we're just like, I want to experience this thing. I want to have this new life. I want this new beginning. I want to create from my space of my feminine energy. I don't want to create from hustle and bustle and all these things combined. But how are we still approaching life? How are we interacting with the people and places and things that are right in our vicinity? Like, for instance, if you want to get away from the hustle mindset and hustle mentality, then whenever you find yourself in a space to where the environment is requiring that version of you, you have to step back and decide, what am I going to give this environment and how much does it deserve? And is it worth me getting outside of the energy that I want to be aligned with in order to make other people happy, in order to experience some type of comfort that I think this outcome is going to bring to me? Like, what am I losing in this scenario? Many times, I was watching a sitcom with my daughters the other day, and the mom kept on trying to get to the point where she was not yelling at the kids anymore to get things done. And she was shocked that when she sat back, everything seemed to be chugging along. And she was like, wow, finally, I don't have to be on top of everybody to do everything. But then come to find out, some of the things were done, and then other half of the things, everybody had to suffer their own consequences. Somebody didn't turn in a report. They got a C on their grade. Another person didn't, what is it called? Turn in like an application by deadline. They didn't get into the club they wanted. Another one failed to babysit the neighbor's dog, and the dog got away. And the thing about it was that she was so close to allowing everybody to be responsible for their own lives. But in true sitcom fashion, she noticed it was all falling apart, and she jumped right in there and went right into that hustle mode. And then in the next breath, you'll hear her saying, I just want to be able to take a bubble bath. I just want to be able to relax. I just want to be able to do these things. You have to learn how to be those ways and introduce those aspects to your life, that softness that you want to experience in spite of what's happening around you. Because when you're trying to get out of one mode and one space to another, there's always going to be remnants of the old trying to drag you, trying to be dragged along with you. And if you haven't gotten to the point where you can say, you know what, this is not in alignment with where I want to go in my life, this is not in alignment with what I want to experience, you're going to keep on finding yourself in the same space all the time with, I got a little bit of that, what I wanted, and then it went right back to this. I got a little bit of experience here, but then it went right back to this. I, attracted these type of people, but then I had this situation happen. Like, what is going on with that? And then you have to always sit back and think to yourself, where do I have split energy? Where is my energetic frequency not fine-tuned, right? So think about that. If it's not in alignment, don't entertain it. If it's not in alignment, get it out of your life. And it may not be an overnight thing. It may be an overtime thing. But you should only be working in the realm of what is in alignment with what I want to experience. Is this activity? Is this person? Is this interaction? Is this comment I'm leaving underneath this video? Or anything like that, Is this YouTube video I'm watching in alignment with that? Just keep that in mind. I hope y'all have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day.